Good day, everyone. Today, we're going to continue our discussion on our lesson 2 on communication in multicultural settings. So, last meeting, we have discussed already our lesson on communication context, focusing on personal context, physical context, social context, psychological context, cultural context. So these are the different contexts in which it pertains to the different circumstances among in which communication occurs. So this context influences the expectations from the participants. So the meaning derived from the exchange of utterances and the subsequent actions in the communication setting. Now, this time, we will be having the following objectives: to evaluate the messages and images and or types of context reflecting different cultures and write a critique about them. Second is demonstrate how to communicate effectively with different kinds of people in multicultural settings and contexts. Now try to look at this picture. So as you can notice, a more holistic understanding of communication necessitates knowledge of culture and appreciating cultural diversities. So, di ba, as defined in the culture is described as a set of unique and shared beliefs, values, and norms that guide a certain group of people on how to think, how to behave, and how to act. So, in general, communication and culture, as what I have said last time, are intertwined. In fact, they are inseparable. So culture influences what and how you communicate. So say for example, Americans are more direct and straightforward. Filipinos, on the other hand, are confrontational. We have different cultures and practices. So say for example, for the Filipino, we have the value system of respect. How do we show it? We show it through our gestures of pagmamano, the kissing of elders' hands, or by saying po and opo. The Japanese has also their own way of saying thank you to other persons or individuals. We have also different languages. So say for example, hello, we have different kinds of ways of saying hello, especially when we are coming from the different countries and nationality. Same as well with the religion. So as you can notice, each religion has different symbols and we have also different practices. Same as well with the food. Some may use chopsticks, others use spoon and fork. Others only uses their bare hands in eating. Even in food, magkakaiba tayo ng pagkain. The same as well with the attire. So, meaning to say, the different cultures, behavior, and practices affect the communication of each individuals. So these behaviors are based on cultures which we are taught and transmitted from one generation to another. So, how are we going to increase and develop this competence in communication? So, kailangan natin ng tinatawag na understanding of the cultural dimensions in communication because this will help us adapt and adjust to the different ways of the different individuals we are dealing with. So, moreover, on our next lesson, we will be having a deep understanding of various aspects of communication which you need to consider in a multicultural setting. So, I am referring to the 7 cultural dimensions in communication. So, first is the individualism versus collectivism. We have context, we have the chronemics, uncertainty avoidance, power distance, gender, referring to masculinity or femininity, long-term or short-term orientation. So, when we say cultural dimensions in communication, we are dealing with the cultural differences. So, cultural differences in different aspects. So, we will be dealing it one by one. We will start with individualism versus collectivism. So, when we say individualism, it prioritizes the rights, independence, self-interest of individuals, while collectivism emphasizes the well-being of the group or community as a whole. Now, when we say individualism, the individualistic culture puts premium or focus on the self and personal fulfillment. So the term is personal fulfillment. While itong collectivist culture, it values teamwork and collaboration. So as defined, individualism is a philosophical and social perspective that places importance on the autonomy, freedom of individuals, right of individuals. So it believes that each person possesses inherent value and is entitled to make choices and pursue their own goals. So you value more personal responsibility and recognize the unique qualities and contributions of each individual to society. So that's individualism. So pag sinabi namang collectivism, it is a philosophical social ideology that emphasizes the welfare and interests of the collective group or community over individual desires. So you look into the common goals, shared values, you valued cooperation, you valued collaboration, you are open for suggestions from the other groups. So you value interdependence. So that is collectivism. Now, cultures in the first world countries such as United States of America, Canada, Northern and Western European countries are highly individualistic. So they they are more on this personal they have this they are known to be self-interest individuals. So again, USA, Canada, Northern and Western European countries. While ito namang sa collectivist na culture, dito nanggagaling usually it usually races coming from or individuals coming from Latin America, East and Southeast Asia and Africa, sila naman yung collectivist. So, what about in a situation basis? So, in relation to communication, so halimbawa, people with an individualistic cultural background tend to be more assertive. So, assertive, they are confrontational. So, yun yung sa individualistic culture. They are also direct. So, more or less, they get things done at their own pace. Pero itong collectivist ang culture, they work more harmoniously in groups and cooperate with others to avoid conflict. So, ito naman, when it comes to trabaho, yung individualistic ang culture prefers to work alone. Itong collectivism prefers to work with group. So, yun yung pagkakaiba niya. So, that's the first dimension in communication. The second one is the context. So, when we say context, meron siyang dalawang category. Low context culture and high context culture. So, pag sinasabi nating low text culture, you view word as a way to convey messages. So, you use your nonverbal and implicit communication. Ang low context naman is a culture in which people communicate explicitly. Ito naman yung ang low text culture rely more on the nonverbal cues. You don't rely on nonverbal cues. So itong High-text culture High-text culture uses subtle nonverbal behaviors and implicit information to convey meaning. So, for example, in USA, UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Sweden, Germany, and Netherlands. So, for sila naman, people from these countries have high context culture. Therefore, the verbal messages of people from these countries are unclear and mostly indirect. So when people who have low context cultures interact with people from high context cultures, they have to be sensitive to others' messages. So, halimbawa, from low context cultures, uh, people have to pay attention to the body language and gestures of those from high context culture. So, in return, they might need to ask for clarification for vague messages, and people from high context culture need not to be offended if they receive direct messages and assertions from people with low context culture. So, anong sinasabi natin dito in the context? So, when you talk to a person na high context at ikaw ay low context culture ka, kailangan mong maging sensitive doon sa gestures mo. So, for example, we Filipinos, we belong to high context culture. So, usually, very particular sa atin, yung mga movement ng kamay, movement ng mata, the posture. So, it, if when you talk to a low context culture, tapos yung very direct sila, okay lang. Pero, kung ikaw, American, makikipag-usap siya sa isang Chinese, Chinese will Chinese are very particular with with the gestures, the different nonverbal cues, and that is why there might be gestures na makaka-offend doon sa Chinese if in case you are not aware of. Next is chronemics. This is the third dimension in communication in which it pertains to time. So, time speaks, ika nga, no? So, monochronic culture advocates punctuality, timely completion of tasks, and accomplishment of one task at a time. So, in short, for the monochronic culture, schedule matters in a monochronic culture. So time as a ribbon or road. You attend only to one meeting. So you focus on one task. In short, time is very tangible. Hindi pwede na magkaroon ng interruptions. There should always be scheduling. If in case you prioritize privacy, there is clock promptness. So, if halimbawa, meron kang kausap, meron naka-schedule talaga yan siya. If hindi siya schedule, hindi mo kinakausap. So, that's monochronic. On the other side, pag sinabi nating polychronic, has more fluid and flexible time or concept of time. So, in this culture, task interruption okay lang, multitasking are acceptable, practices and maintaining relationship para sa you is more important than strictly following a schedule. So, sino ba ang mga matatawag natin na monochronic? So, usually, um, uh, those who live in USA, the Americans, are monochronic in nature. Ang polychronic naman, yung nasa Latin American countries, Arab, Southern European cultures. So, sila yung masasabi natin na under sa polychronic. So, may multi-level, simultaneous involvement, time is intangible, walang scheduling, you value relationship, and sometimes very vocal ka, so privacy, hindi siya affected. So, that is for the chronemic. So, here in the Philippines, alam nyo na kung saan tayo kabilang dyan, no? So, when it comes to having events, sometimes we don't really follow the time schedule, no? So, kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na Filipino time. So, that is why, when you go to America, nasanay ka na lagi kang late, medyo mabibigla ka kapag nasa USA ka because they are very sensitive and they are very particular with time. That is why time speaks. The next dimension is uncertainty or avoidance. So this uncertainty avoidance refers to the need to foresee what is going to happen. Question, do you see things, nakikita mo ba yung possible na mangyari once you do that action? So, if no, saan ka kabilang? Sa low uncertainty avoidance or sa high uncertainty avoidance? So, tingnan natin. Let's start with the low uncertainty avoidance. So, pag ang culture mo is under low uncertainty avoidance, you're tolerant of unpredictable and uncontrollable situations. So, it usually maintains few rules as possible and allows for the spontaneity of responses to situations. So, pag low uncertainty avoidance ang culture mo, you believe in accepting and encouraging things. Kung, for example, medyo may mali, magkaroon ng problema, you just encourage, you accept. Believe in taking risks and trying new things. Don't have strong need to control things, people, and events by clearly defining and categorizing them. So, in short, you have a high tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. Anong mga countries ang merong culture under low uncertainty avoidance? So, we have USA, Sweden, and Denmark. Ang high uncertainty avoidance organization naman, ito yung more structured when it comes to activity, mas kompleto ang rules, you are particular with the rules, you set rules, there is a larger of specialists to check things out, more ritual behavior, lower in labor turnover, you prefer less ambitious employees. So in short, people having high uncertainty avoidance culture use precise language and ask a lot of questions. So meaning to say, detalyado ang galaw, you anticipate already the things that might happen after doing such action. So yan yung high uncertainty avoidance. So sino usually ang nasa high uncertainty avoidance? So usually, pag ikaw yung nasa pinakamataas na posisyon in a certain organization, usually, this is the culture that you are practicing. You have this anticipation already of what will happen. So, ngayon, itong pag you are a person in which you practice the low uncertainty avoidance, you might find the imposition of too much rules and systems quite upsetting. So, ayaw mo nang masyadong maraming batas, maraming sinusunod, okay? So, dun ka sa low uncertainty avoidance. So, dito sa high uncertainty, nasasagot na lahat. Everything is, kumbaga, nakaset up. Dito naman sa low uncertainty avoidance, you tend to question more. Marami kang tanong. Yun nga, because there are no rules, there are no set guidelines. So, yun ang pagkakaiba ng low uncertainty at saka high uncertainty. So, ngayon, try to assess yourself. Saan ka ba? Ikaw ba yung tipo ng tao na once you do actions, you think of the consequences after? Kasi kung you are thinking of the consequences after, you belong to high uncertainty. Pero kapag hindi, you belong to low uncertainty. Okay. So, pag high uncertainty, ito yung mga lugar in which practicing this kind of culture: Germany, Portugal, Greece, Peru, and Belgium. Next is the power distance. Okay, so do you believe na kahit distance, nagmamatter in the communication? So, of course, when we say distance, it is the extent to how the quality or the equality or inequality of power is expected or accepted. So this would refer to the low power distance culture and the high power distance culture. So, in the low power distance culture, equal equal distribution of power. So, saan ito na-observe? This can be observed in the cultures of Austria, Finland, Denmark, Norway, and USA. Though power exists, people from this culture value democracy. So, on the other hand, itong high power distance culture recognizes that an equal distribution of power is normal. So, this type of culture is evident in countries in the Middle East and in Malaysia, Guatemala, Venezuela, and Singapore. So, this cultural dimension is particularly reflected in how people communicate with individuals who hold authority. So, if you belong to low power distance culture, you might be comfortable challenging the status uh, of your boss, arguing with your boss. Otherwise, you may exhibit a high distance culture wherever you are just likely to follow any rule without question. So, kung high power distance group ka, you just follow. Okay? Autocratic ka. Okay? So, there is centralization of responsibilities. So, may sinusunod. Subordinates expect to be told what to do. So, ibig sabihin na lahat ng galaw mo, lahat ng task mo is kumbaga measured, okay, and monitored. In the low power distance group, mas uh, you have the freedom, okay? Once given ang task sa'yo, you just do it. So, you value also consultation, pero hindi required. Okay? So, you have the freedom. So, yan yung tinatawag natin na power distance. Let's go with the 6 cultural dimensions, focusing on the gender. So, masculine cultures advocate for strict adherence to conventional gender roles and behaviors. So, in this culture, masculine roles are more valued than feminine role. So, in this case, it is associated with characteristics typically attributed to men. Ano yon? The physical strength, assertiveness, independence, so more on competitiveness. Focus is more on success goals, career success. Pag feminine culture, on the other hand, are based on the premise that men and women assume varieties of roles and thus are both valued regardless of their sex and gender. So, dito naman, it is assumed na yung role ng lalaki kaya din ng babae. But in this femininity culture, very dominant yung tinatawag na nurturing, empathy, and gracefulness na values. And more importantly, ito yung napapasok dito, yung emotional intelligence and cooperative behavior. So if for the masculine ang culture that ang focus is on strength, physical strength, emotional intelligence naman for the femininity. So there should be an interpersonal relationship. Now, if for example, Mexico, Italy, and Japan have highly masculine cultures. So, we have Mexico, Italy, and Japan. Now, in Sweden naman, ito naman yung femininity, ang culture na dominant. Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. So there seems to be no male supremacy because males and females are viewed equally in terms of their role in society. No, long time ago in the situation of the Philippines, nung sinasako pa tayo ng mga Espanyol, we are into the masculinity culture because mas nabibigyan ng privileges and opportunities ang men compared to women. So in this case, for the education, lalaki lang ang pinapag-aral. Because ang babae will be staying only at home, manganganak at mag-aalaga ng mga bata. But at this time, I think there is an evolution already of the opportunities for the women. So I think we are already into femininity culture here in the Philippines. So driven by high standard of performance, assertiveness, and competitiveness, men having a high masculine culture background are not to empathize well with others and exhibit compassion, while women tend to be more silent and passive. So those are the differences of masculinity versus femininity. Now let's go to the last cultural dimension, and that is the long-term or short-term orientation. So, ito naman, it refers to how patient, how patient we are in valuing and waiting for the outcomes. So, if you want quick results, you belong to to long-term orientation. Pag ikaw, matyaga ka, you are persistent, you're perseverant, dito ka sa high or sa high term orientation culture. Ulitin ko. We have the long term and the short term orientation. Pag ikaw, you want quick results, if you want quick results, again, if you value more results, gusto mo agad ng may quick results, gusto mo na merong leisure, small share of additional income is saved, short-term results, lower performance, and basic mathematics tasks, old age is seen as coming later, you belong to short-term orientation. Pero kung ikaw naman is you value perseverance, you are patient, so dito ka sa tinatawag na long-term orientation culture. So ang short-term orientation culture is characterized by being very performance-driven. You want quick results. There is fulfillment of social obligations and efficient revenue generation. Itong long-term orientation culture naman, laid back that it has more patience in waiting for the outcomes of action. So, you ask yourself this time, saan ka? Sa short term or sa long term? Kasi may mga tao na gusto nila kapag nag-invest sila in a certain business, gusto nila merong return agad. So, kaya maraming nasa scam, no? So, because they parang nasanay sila sa long-term na culture or sa short-term na culture. Agad-agad ay meron. So, in values perseverance towards the achievement of goals, countries with short-term orientation include USA, Pakistan, Russia, Canada, Norway, and the United Kingdom. For people from these countries, work time is separated from leisure. So, work time is separated from leisure. So, kung trabaho, kung gusto mo ng time for your hobbies, you do it in a separate time. They want quick results. People from Japan, China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan naman belong to the long-term orientation. They can juggle work and leisure time together. They are patient in waiting for the rewards for their hard work. When talking to someone from short-term oriented culture, pwedeng maging impolite. Ang dating is impolite to talk about business during lunch or dinner time. However, this will not be a big issue for someone who belongs to the long-term oriented culture since he or she can mix working and leisure. So, pag short-term, ang orientation mo, you separate, there is separate time for work, separate time for leisure. So, kung makikipag-usap ka with a person na ang culture is into short-term, meaning to say, hindi ka pwedeng makipag-usap ng kung anumang topic sa isang short-term oriented na individual. So, kung ikaw nasa long-term, okay lang, nakaka-adjust ka agad-agad kasi nga okay naman sa'yo na ipagsabay ang leisure at saka ang business. So, no problem with that. So, yun lang. You need to be sensitive with whatever discussions and topic na pag-uusapan ninyo. Hindi pwede mag-mix ang trabaho at saka yung leisure. So, in general, understanding this cultural dimension is integral to becoming an effective intercultural communicator. Why? Because a competent intercultural communicator interprets and shares meanings with individuals from different cultures with accuracy, respect, and most especially a high level of sensitivity. So in short, when you are known to be an effective communicator in a multicultural setting, you can deal with any kind of people in different in any kind of situation. So you know how to deal with them, you know how to talk with them, you know how to mingle with them. So you can adjust to the different needs of whoever you are talking with. So as the says, ignorance of the law excuses no one. So for your activity today, you are going to read the article entitled The Cost of Cultural Ignorance. So be ready for the recitation to be given by tomorrow during our face-to-face classes. And for our quiz 2, so you had already sent your answers yesterday. That will be our quiz 1. So for our quiz 2, we're going to answer this question through a video. Submit it through this email. So the question is, how can two people or a group of people ensure understanding in spite of coming from different backgrounds and contexts? So you need to review again the different dimensions and context of communication in a multicultural settings. So the deadline of this will be until 5 p.m. So I think that's all for today. So I am expecting for your output until this afternoon. Thank you so much and God bless.